digital. Got the club going up on the Tuesday.
The big news.
News? What news?
Sorry.
What?
All right, Lane. But this is beyond news. This is like Pearl Harbor or the Kennedy assassination. It's like not even news, it's total shit.
The New York Times, the Daily News.
Hello and welcome to February 19th, Tuesday News Day. Today we are going to read an article specifically about Snapchat and Twitter, trying to get more users. You'll probably understand, at least to remember our learning goal, which is to determine two or more central ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of that text, including how they interact and develop and build on one another. The scale for today should look familiar. It's the 4-3-2-1. A 4 meaning that you can identify the central ideas, the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point, and how the ideas build on one another. A 3 means that you can identify the central ideas, the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point. A 2 means that you can identify just simply the central idea, but you're not really looking into the evidence that is being used, but you're able to identify that idea. A 1 means that you are unsure of how to find the central idea. To receive 1.5 units for today's class, you must highlight or underline the main idea, circle the evidence that the author uses to support his or her point, and put a box in any other central ideas in the text. There will also be vocab that goes along with the article, and that's stapled in the packet that I've given you. The 4 skills that we will use today to identify main idea. Number 1 is to identify the topic. Remember that the topic is different than the main idea. We'll talk about that after reading the article and when we get to the worksheet. Summarizing the story or the article in 10 to 12 words. Being able to do that tells me that you've got a good broader image, a big picture view of the article. Identifying the first and last sentence, because oftentimes that kind of sets the tone for the main idea. And then what ideas are repeated throughout. The more that you are able to identify that repetition, the more likely it is that you will be able to identify the main idea. So let's get right to the article. Today's article is from the Money section, and it is titled, "New Looks Come to Snapchat and Twitter in Bid for More Users." Paragraph number 1, as is listed on your sheet off to the left, says, "Struggling social media darlings Twitter and Snapchat are taking on new looks as the services seek wider audiences in the shadow of Facebook." Paragraph 2, "Twitter is rolling out a new 280 character limit for nearly all of its users, abandoning its iconic 140 character limit for tweets. And Snapchat, long popular with young people, will undergo a revamp in hopes of becoming easier to use for everyone else." Paragraph 3. "Both services announced the moves Tuesday as they look for ways to expand beyond their passionate but slowly growing fan bases." Paragraph 4. "Twitter has said that 9% of tweets written in English hit the 140 character limit. People ended up spending more time editing tweets or didn't send them out at all. By removing that hurdle, Twitter is hoping people will tweet more, drawing more users in." Paragraph 5. "German bureaucrats, notorious for their ability to create lengthy tongue twisters consisting of one single word, celebrated Wednesday." Paragraph number 6. Germany's Justice Ministry wrote that it can now tweet about legislation concerning the transfer of oversight responsibilities for beef labeling. Paragraph 7. The law is known in German as... Yeah, right. I don't think we're supposed to know that word. Paragraph number 8. Munich police, meanwhile, said that at last they won't need abbreviations to tweet about accidents involving forklift drivers or... Yeah, again. Paragraph 9. In Rome, student Marina Verduccio said the change, quote unquote, will give the possibility to express ourselves in a totally different way and to avoid canceling important words when we use Twitter. Paragraph 10. Others were not impressed, including at least one who quoted Shakespeare saying, "Brevity is the soul of wit." And as Snap Incorporated CEO Evan Spiegel noted, change does not come without risk. Paragraph 11. We don't know yet how the behavior of our community will change when they begin to use our updated application, he said. We're willing to take that risk for what we believe are substantial long-term benefits to our business. 12. Snap, Snapchat's parent company, did not provide details on the upcoming changes. 13. During the third quarter, Twitter averaged 330 million monthly users, up just 1% from the previous quarter. Snapchat added 4.5 million daily users in the quarter to 178 million, which amounts to a 3% growth. The company does not report monthly user figures. 14. Those numbers pale next to social media behemoth Facebook, which reported that its monthly users rose 16% to 2.07 billion. Paragraph 15 now. The one thing that we have heard over the years is that Snapchat is difficult to understand or hard to use, and our team has been working on responding to this feedback, Spiegel said. As a result, we are currently redesigning our application to make it easier to use. 16. His comments came on a conference call with industry analysts after the company posted a lackluster user growth numbers and revenue that fell well short of Wall Street expectations. Snap's stock was bludgeoned Wednesday, falling almost 15% to close at $12.91. The Venice, California company went public in March at $17 a share. 17. Snapchat needs to grow its user base beyond 13 to 34-year-olds in the US, France, and the UK, and Australia, Spiegel said. This, he said, includes Android users, people older than 34, and what he calls rest of the world markets. 18. Meanwhile, Snap said Wednesday that Chinese internet company Tencent has acquired a 10% stake in the company. Tencent runs the WeChat messaging app as well as online payment platforms and games. Earlier this year, Tencent bought a 5% stake in Tesla Incorporated. 19. As for Twitter, the move to 280 characters was first started as a test in September. Number 20. People in the experiment told us that a higher character limit made them feel more satisfied with how they express themselves on Twitter, their ability to find good content, and Twitter overall, said project manager Eliza Rosen in a blog post. 21. The expansion to 280 character tweets will be extended to all users except those tweeting in Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, who will still have the original limit. That's because writing in those languages uses fewer characters. 22. The company has been gradually easing restrictions to let people cram more characters into a tweet. It stopped counting polls, photos, videos, and other things toward the limit. Even before it did so, users found creative ways to get around the limit. This includes multi-part tweets and screenshots of blocks of text. Twitter's character limit was created so that tweets could fit into a single text message, back when many people were using text to receive tweets. But now, most people use Twitter through its mobile app. The 140 character limit is no longer a technical constraint, but nostalgia. So here we are on the worksheet, and I'm at question number 1, which is identifying the topic. It seems to me that identifying the topic is that Twitter and Snapchat want more users. And I will make my responses red. If I was to summarize the story, I would say that social media platforms outside of Facebook want more users and want to, well, maybe to try to keep up with Facebook. And again, what I'm going to do here is make my response in red. The first and last sentence, let's click over to the article. Here we are back at the article. It says, struggling social media darlings Twitter and Snapchat are taking on new looks as the services seek wider audiences in the shadow of Facebook. And because I am on a video and on my computer, I have the luxury of highlighting the sentence, copying it over. So I copied the sentences over, and they are, struggling social media darlings Twitter and Snapchat are taking on new looks as the services seek wider audiences in the shadow of Facebook. In the last sentence, but now most people use Twitter through its mobile app. The 140 character limit is no longer a technical constraint, but nostalgia. Repeated ideas. I think that the repeated ideas are that they need to be more user-friendly. To be more user-friendly. I would also maybe add that they are changing their looks and what users can do. And finally, it's probably worth noting that the companies spoke a lot about numbers. The increase in users and tweets, specifically for Twitter. I will make my responses in red. And of course, as always, I am not going to give you the answer to the main idea. I think based on what I have written here and whatever else that you'd like to add, you probably can come to the conclusion of what you think the main idea of the article is. Once you've completed this worksheet as well as the vocab, which again is stapled to the sheet, you have earned yourself 1.5 units for this article today.